Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Tim, and we're from Boy and Bear.
And you're watching Moshcam. Probably Southern Sun. I don't know why, there's something really fun about, it's just pretty much 2 chords, so it's pretty simple on my end. And I can't put my finger on it, but I love the way that song seems to ramp, and it's just a really simple groove, but I don't know, I'm loving it at the moment.
Yeah, Southern Sun's my favourite. It's nice to have big harmonies in the chorus, and I don't know, it just feels like it's got a lot of groove. And for me, a lot of the earlier stuff as a drummer was a little bit left of centre, and this is sort of a bit more straight down the line. That's been fun.
I think we'll have the same answer to this one. Probably finishing it felt pretty bloody good.
It was euphoric, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Because we literally, so Arrow Flight, which is the last song on the record, was the last one that we finished writing and recording, and I think we'd finished pretty much everything, and we were waiting on to do the lead vocal because I had lyrics to finish, and it was so frustrating. All the guys were playing ping pong all day, and I'm sitting in this room like sweating it out. It's the last day in the studio, and eventually I'm like, come downstairs and like, Tim, I need your help. So we went up there together, and that last like hour or two, we were just kind of feeling it out, and I think getting those lyrics done and then going down and sort of getting in that headspace of doing the vocal. And once we realised we had the lead vocal, it was really good. It had been 7 or 8 months of hard work, and we love recording, but it's exhausting, and there was a real moment of this is complete, and it felt really good.
We had Thai food and beers afterwards.
Excessive amounts of both, I think.
We've got a picture of Killian lying on his back on just a pavement in Neutral Bay, completely exhausted but loving life.
Yeah.
And that for me sums up the album.
I'm a Little Creatures guy, yeah. Or Rogers, which is the same brewing company. I'm happy to give them a plug because they do a great beer.
I have to say, I love real ales in like cask ales in England. On the pump, we're playing at a pub over there. I'll sit and have 2 or 3 in the afternoon. It's just such a pleasurable experience.
I think there's a heap, but I think back in the early days, maybe the first Splendor gig we did was really exciting. I think that we had no idea of, I remember 5-10 minutes before the show, and there was probably only 100 people out in front of a tent that could fit 3,000 or 4,000, and thinking, I just had no idea how many people were going to turn up, if anyone was going to turn up. And about 3 minutes before the show, I sort of went out and it was packed, and absolutely shitting myself. We managed to have a really good show, and it was just a nice moment of realising that we could really do those gigs, and I felt like everything kind of opened up after that point.
I think also playing Lollapalooza in
that was good fun.
Chicago was amazing, and there was this storm coming in over Lake Michigan, and literally Dave hit the last chord, and then the rain just came down. It was incredible. It was one of those great moments. A couple of Aussie flags in the crowd. A bit sheepish about that, but it was
Aussie flags everywhere. It was a funny one where we played in Byron, and I walked into Tim's room to find him. He'd been out that night, and I just found Tim, shoes on, like hat on, like he hadn't actually made it into the bed. It was just sort of slumped over the bed, and he'd obviously had a fairly big night. And then he sort of sheepishly scuttled off that morning, and we couldn't find him. And he'd gone, for some reason, he thought his hangover cure would be like a kebab, so he's gone and actually sat down near the water. He's sort of like red-eyed and slightly shameful with his kebab. And I'm actually telling Tim's story here, but apparently he's like in a mouthful, and he gets this like tap on the shoulder. And it was a fan from the night before, so he's like looking up with like garlic sauce on his mouth, absolutely hungover. And they're like, that was a fantastic show. And he's just going like...
The guy kind of looked at me, and he was like really excited, and I could tell that he realised what the scoop was halfway through his sentence, and he was like, oh, it was a really, really great show last night, thanks. And then awkwardly just walked off, and you could see that I was just a complete mess. Just a shameful moment.
I think someone yelled out "impregnate me" on one show. Yeah, that was nice of them.
Didn't happen.
No.
Don't think.
No.
We had a really awkward one we were playing a festival in Germany, and some guy yelled something out, and I got into a bit of a dialogue with him, except, you know, like I was just being sarcastic, and, you know, it basically turned out really harsh, as if I was having a massive crack at the guy, and it got really awkward, and all the boys are turning around to me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, trying to joke with him.
Lost in translation.
Anyway,
wasn't it?
I went up and gave him a big hug after the show. He was a big fan, and he had a shirt that he'd made into a boy and bear shirt, and he just, you know, through the communication we had, he's like, I want you to have this shirt. Just took off his shirt, gave it to me, and it's still in my snare drum case.
Really?
It doesn't smell very good, but it's still there.
We had a slight crazy one when we were playing in Cairns. This girl came back, somehow snuck backstage, and she went from being really nice to really intense to just kind of pushing the line a little bit and being a little bit unusual. And I managed to kind of get away and was just kind of doing my thing, and then I went back out, and she came up and she was just really pushing, and security came up, and we've been talking for a while, and security came up and he was like, do you know this girl? And I kind of looked at her and she looked up at me, and I was like, I have no idea who she is. and this poor girl, I felt so bad. Her face, she was so just like, she was hurt and she was upset. And I was just thinking like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I didn't want to say yes, and the security's off, and then I'm stuck the whole night. So I think she actually left the show as well. I felt bad. I went out looking for her afterwards. But
first boy and bear family ever lost.
Yeah, never got it back.
Sometimes, I jokingly said to Dave, sometimes I drink a lot very fast, but that's not entirely true. But I'll try to have like at least something to take my mind off the fact that I'm going to be on stage. So whether that's like a little bit of fruit from the platter or 3 shots of scotch, it's something usually, and it just takes my mind off the fact that
Sometimes both.
Yeah, sometimes both.
Yeah.
Yeah, goes well, fruit and alcohol. So I don't know, like I think it's just about getting yourself past the nervousness of that you're going to be on stage in a second, and people have come to watch you and expect at least something mildly impressive.
I haven't heard any rumours, but my cousin sent me a text recently he was reading some male grooming book, and it had different types of moustaches, and it had like people's names, and it had in the middle was my name and a drawing of my head with my moustache, and I've forgotten what the quote was.
It said, yeah, I can grow facial hair, but just not very much.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the one above me was like Ivan Milat, which was a bit disappointing, but
yeah,
he had quite a big thing happening.
Didn't kick too many goals, did he?
No.